Sometimes I feel and I fear that we believe there are so many expectations placed upon us or forced upon us that we lose sight of what our own true aspirations may be because we feel that we are not measuring up or living up to expectations. Welcome to Music, Motivation, and More, the Positivity Podcast. I am your host, Jerald Simon. Every weekly podcast is sponsored by various businesses, groups, associations, and organizations. Today's podcast has been sponsored by the Cool Songs Club. Today's podcast is titled, What Are Your Aspirations? And so, for the welcome portion of this, I'd like to talk about aspirations versus expectations. And I think sometimes we get the two confused. Sometimes I feel and I fear that we believe there are so many expectations placed upon us or forced upon us that we lose sight of what our own true aspirations may be because we feel that we are not measuring up or living up to expectations, either expectations that we put upon ourselves or expectations that others force upon us, either because they are trying to manipulate us to doing what they want us to do or what we think they might want us to do. There's a big difference between aspirations and expectations. And so in today's podcast, we are going to talk a little bit about the difference between what aspirations are and what expectations are. And I will start off by saying that we should always strive to aspire to be better, aspire to improve, aspire to do our best in everything we do. Now, if we expect to be the best, that will limit us. Now, if we expect ourselves or those around us to do something or be something, then often expectations will eventually lead to failure because we often expect too much from ourselves or from those around us, which is why I would like to have us focus on aspirations versus expectations. Now, I'd like to read a statement from my book, Perceptions, Parables, and Pointers. And this statement is a paragraph, and it talks about who you want to become. Listen as I read this. Who do you want to become? The person you were yesterday, the person you are today, and the person you can become tomorrow are all very different. You may look at the person you were yesterday and feel guilt, remorse, anger, frustration, and pity. This may even apply to the person you are today. If your past and present circumstances seem unbearable, intolerable, or undesirable in any way, you can change for the better. Decide right now to create a better you for tomorrow. Invest in yourself. Learn as much as you can about the person you want to become. How does he or she speak? What do they do, wear, know that you don't? How do they live? What are their dreams, ambitions, plans, goals, values, etc.? Are you working on becoming who you want to become? What qualities and attributes do you need to possess? How will you obtain them? What changes could you make in your life that would be life-changing? Decide to be a better person. Make the decisions you need to make today to become the person you will become tomorrow. Now, part of the insight behind this paragraph, at least for me, is first off deciding who I want to be and become. Now, whenever we speak about aspirations, we are aspiring for something, to be someone. those aspirations can actually strengthen us. Whereas if we impose expectations upon ourselves, expectations often weaken us because the expectations that others set for us can truthfully never be attained. And the expectations we set for ourselves can often leave us feeling as if we have failed or as if we don't measure up, because those expectations can often take their toll on us, because expectations, truthfully, are a result of comparisons. Now, if you think about that, aspirations versus expectations. An expectation is comparing ourselves to others, comparing what we do with what our parents do, comparing what we have with what our neighbors have, comparing with what we have accomplished with what others around us have accomplished or have not accomplished. See, expectations, when you set yourself up to expect an outcome, a certain desired outcome, often you are setting yourself up for failure because those expectations often cannot be met. Have you ever thought about going on the trip of a lifetime? You have planned, you have prepared, you've saved all the money you could save. You have studied and researched everything you could find out about your desired destination. And then what happens? Maybe you arrive, and maybe when you do arrive at your desired destination, it's dirtier than you thought it would be because you had expectations. Maybe the trip is not exactly what you envisioned in your mind because you were expecting to have the best weather, and maybe the weather is not cooperating. Again, these are your expectations versus the desired outcome. And if we expect too much from ourselves, from those around us, we will always feel frustrated. Every day will be a day of despair because our expectations don't measure up. And in truth, they cannot measure up, which is why we should not have expectations for ourselves, for our children. We should not have expectations for those around us. Because if we expect something of our children, they will feel as if they are less than what we expect them to be. They will feel as if they are less than what we hope they will be because we have set up these expectations, and if those expectations are not met, either in our minds or in the minds of our children, that is when our relationships can be ruined, which is why we should not set expectations for ourselves. Rather, we should set aspirations, what we aspire to. We can tell our children what we hope they will aspire to, but it's their aspirations, not our aspirations, and not our expectations. Now, keeping right in line with this conversation on expectation versus aspiration, I would like to read on page 45 from my book, Perceptions, Parables, and Pointers. This is what it says. Redefine your expectations of yourself and of others. Generally speaking, the expectations people set for themselves and for others are either too high or too low. Far too many individuals are too demanding of themselves, which leads to setting unrealistic goals and impossible deadlines that create expectations that can never be achieved. Unrealistic expectations can prevent you from progressing because you become very frustrated with your inability to accomplish all you wanted to accomplish when you thought you would or could. We are often too demanding of ourselves and many times too demanding of others. It's important to push and stretch ourselves, but we must not set ourselves up for failure. Realize that it's okay if we don't always accomplish everything on our checklists or to-do lists. We will fall short occasionally, and we won't always hit the target. But that's okay. We are not perfect, nor will we ever be perfect in this life. That's okay. You see, these expectations are often too demanding. And what can happen is these expectations can, truthfully, bring so much sorrow, so much pain, so much frustration. Because the desired outcome, our expectation of what we hope will happen, generally does not coincide with reality. See, expectations can never truthfully be achieved because that desired outcome we're hoping or wanting to achieve, it may not go exactly as planned, and we need to be okay with that. To use a sporting terminology, we must be willing to roll with the punches. We must enjoy what happens. For the Motivation in a Minute portion of this podcast, I would like to read a quote from my book, Perceptions, Parables, and Pointers, on page 168. It's by George Eliot, and it says this: "It is never too late to be what you might have been." And I'd like you to think about that. It is never too late to be what you might have been. It is never too late. Regardless of what has happened or has not happened in our lives, we can always make the most of each minute we have today. Regardless of what has happened in the past, regardless of what we hope we may achieve in the future, it is never too late to be what we might have been. And we all have those aspirations. Hopefully we now see that we should not have those expectations upon ourselves or put expectations on those around us. But we all have aspirations, we all have hopes, we all have dreams, and it is never too late to be what we might have been. If we have fallen, if we've made mistakes, if we have tried to start up a business and the business has failed, think of what we have learned in the process. And if we desire to start up a new business, it is never too late. If we have tried to find true love and every relationship has failed miserably, it is never too late. If we have, through our own choices, been unwise with our spending, it is never too late to get control of our finances. If, because of the health choices we have made in the past, our current health situation is not what we hope or desire, it is never too late to turn around, to change. If we feel we have not been living, if we feel we have not been adventurous, if we feel we have not been going on trips or seeing the world or checking off any of the goals, to-do lists that we have created for ourselves, it is never too late to be what we might have been, and I would even say to be who we might have been. For the Music Within portion of this podcast, I would like to have us listen to one of my relaxation pieces that I created from an album titled Castles in the Sky. This is kind of a meditation relaxation piece that I had composed, and it is titled Castles in the Sky. I want you to listen to this. Just relax and think about what your aspirations are as you listen to this music, and it's titled Castles in the Sky because I wanted to have that imagery of what dreams, desires, aspirations, hopes, the castles in the sky. We all have our own unique castles in our sky. So listen to this. Let me know what you think. Now, to end this podcast, I would like to read a poem I wrote titled Aspirations. And this is from my poetry book, The As If Principle Motivational Poetry. Let me read this to you. Aspirations. What are your aspirations? Tell me about your goals. What are your ambitions? If you don't know, no one knows. Write down what you want to do. Plan out who you'll be. Take control, then follow through, and create your own destiny. What do you want to know? Who would you like to meet in life? Where do you want to go? Will you follow the path that's been prepared, or will you follow your heart and soul? Take a minute and ask yourself, is my life complete and whole? What more do you need? What more would you want? Have you done all you wanted to do? If not, you can, if you think you can. Dare to dream and then follow through. Now, that poem is all about aspirations. And again, those aspirations that we have, everyone has their own dreams, their own hopes. Follow what you would like to do. First, you need to know what you would like to accomplish in life. But those aspirations that we have, they can empower us. They can enable us. We can be ennobled because we follow those aspirations, those dreams, those hopes. It is what keeps us alive. At times, it is what keeps us going. We may have a job that we don't enjoy. That's okay. That job is the starting point. It's the launching point to help us figure out what we want to do and where we ultimately would like to end up. See, again, these are aspirations. They are not expectations. And if you will notice the difference between aspiration and expectation, you will see that one, the aspiration, actually helps those around them determine what they truly aspire to be and become. Whereas expectations is almost a brute force. It's almost demanding. In many ways, it's condescending. Because those expectations lead those around us to believe that if they do not measure up according to our expectations or according to their own expectations, if they don't measure up, then they must not be good enough. And that is what is so damaging about expectations, because we are all potential. We are possibility. We have so much good to offer because each individual has so much good they can do and share. Those aspirations help us aspire to continually improve and help those around us improve as well. But expectations, unfortunately, can lead to manipulation. Expectations, unfortunately, can demand what those around us do not want to give. Always try to inspire those around you to aspire to be better. Inspire with aspirations. Otherwise, you will expire, and those around you will expire because of the expectations that are placed upon them. Motivate your family, your children, your grandchildren with dreams of aspirations. But do not place upon anyone, including yourself, unrealistic expectations that no one can live up to, because eventually it will destroy your dreams. It will do more damage and harm than good. So that is my hope, that each day and every day we will all aspire to be a little better, aspire to learn a little more, aspire to do more today than we did yesterday. And as we aspire, these aspirations that we have will continue to inspire us to greatness. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you have a wonderful week. Keep up the great work. Smile all the while, and do your very best in all you do. Thanks for listening. Until next time. You can listen to Castles in the Sky and all of my other music on Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, Amazon, or any other social streaming site. I also have created music videos for all of the compositions I've come out with, and you can watch those music videos on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Jerald Simon. You can learn more about my music and various books I've published by visiting my website, musicmotivation.com. My music is available on Spotify, Pandora, Amazon, iTunes, and can be found on all online music stores and streaming sites. My motivational books and poetry books can be purchased on Amazon, from Barnes & Noble, various online bookstores, and also traditional bookstores as well. I release weekly videos on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Jerald Simon. You can also follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/Jerald Simon. If you'd like to, you can connect with me on Instagram, Twitter, and most social media sites. If you'd like to learn more about motivating and inspiring piano students, please visit my website, coolsongsclub.com, to learn how and why I began composing what have become known as fun, cool songs. These cool songs were composed to help motivate piano students the fun way, especially during their teenage years. So I hope you check it out. And please feel free to contact me if you have any questions about anything. My contact info is found on my website, musicmotivation.com. But I would love to connect with you, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I try to respond to as many questions as I can, and I may answer some on this podcast, or I can email you personally, but I try to respond to as many people as I can. So please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about anything. Thank you again for listening. Hope you guys have a great week. See ya.